Why the universe sends you someone you can't be with. Some people are meant to awaken your soul, not walk beside you forever. This truth echoes deeply through the teachings of Carl Jung, who believed that every soul we meet, especially the ones we can't have, is part of a greater plan for our transformation. In today's video from Spiritual Wisdom, we explore why the universe sends you someone you can't be with, and how this painful experience is often the key to profound personal growth. Have you ever met someone who changed you forever, even though they couldn't stay? Share your story in the comments, and let's explore together how these soul-shaking encounters guide us closer to who we were always meant to become. 1. Some soul connections are not meant to last, but to awaken you. You meet someone who feels like they were made from the same breath as you. Someone who touches parts of your soul you didn't even know were asleep. The connection is undeniable. The recognition is instant. But life makes it clear. You cannot be together. It hurts in a way that feels almost divine. This is not just heartbreak. It's a soul-level awakening, a sacred disruption sent not to complete your story, but to start a new one within you. Carl Jung, the brilliant psychologist who mapped the human soul, believed that people don't enter our lives by chance. The ones who stir our emotions the most are often the ones carrying messages from our unconscious. What looks like a failed relationship may actually be a key meant not to open a door between you and them, but a door inside yourself. That person is a mirror, revealing your shadows, your wounds, your desires, and your deepest truths. In modern life, this often shows up as a soul connection that defies logic. You might meet them during a season of transition, at a time when you're not looking, not expecting. And yet, the way they look at you makes you remember yourself. But they may already belong to another world, another path, another timeline. The impossibility of union forces you to turn inward, to sit with the ache, to find out what this longing is really pointing toward. It's not about chasing them. It's about chasing your own wholeness. This happened to a woman named Eliza, who met a man during a creative retreat. They shared poetry, silence, and stories that felt like past lives. But he was engaged. And Eliza, though shattered, chose not to pursue what wasn't meant to be. Instead, she allowed the connection to reveal the parts of herself she had abandoned: her creativity, her fire, her freedom. He had shown her what she was missing, not in love, but in life. And through that pain, she began the process Carl Jung called individuation, the sacred journey of becoming whole. These soul encounters are not mistakes. They are designed by a greater intelligence that wants your evolution more than your comfort. They pull you apart so that you can be rebuilt with more truth, more courage, more love, not toward the other, but toward yourself. What you felt was real, but its purpose may have never been about romance. It was about spiritual wisdom. It was about waking up. And so, you learn to bless the connection, even in its absence. You stop asking why it couldn't last, and instead start asking what it came to teach. You realize that some people arrive not to walk with you, but to ignite you. Not to stay, but to awaken. Not to complete you, but to return you to yourself. And in that return, you become something even greater than a lover. You become whole. Have you ever met someone who awakened your soul, but wasn't meant to stay? If so, share your story in the comments to help others heal. If not, comment, "I'm open to soul lessons," to affirm your readiness for growth. 2. Their presence is meant to transform you, not complete you. According to Carl Jung, some people are not sent into our lives to stay. They are sent to awaken us. Their presence acts like a mirror, reflecting back parts of ourselves we've buried or ignored. The dreams we silenced, the desires we feared, the pieces of our soul waiting to be expressed. They don't come to complete us. They come to disrupt us, to shake the dust off our spirit and force us to see who we truly are beneath the surface of routine and fear. These connections feel electric, undeniable, and sacred. When we meet someone like this, it's as if our soul recognizes them before our mind does. We feel seen in a way that no one else has ever seen us, and we begin to remember the parts of ourselves that have long been asleep. And yet, despite this depth, we can't hold on to them. Life, timing, circumstances, whatever the reason, we are not meant to keep them. But that doesn't make their presence any less meaningful. In fact, that temporary encounter might be more transformative than any lifelong relationship. They awaken what Jung called archetypes, universal symbols embedded in the unconscious. Through these soul connections, we meet our inner masculine or feminine energies, known as the animus and anima. These energies help us mature emotionally and spiritually, but the process is rarely smooth. It's not just love, it's a collision with our shadow, our projections, and our longing for something beyond the physical. That's why these relationships often feel spiritual, karmic, or even destined. But destiny doesn't always mean forever. Sometimes it means for a purpose. And when that purpose is fulfilled, the separation feels like a death. But spiritual wisdom reminds us that what hurts is not the person's absence. It's what they stirred in us that we now must learn to hold on our own. The love they reflected still lives within us. The light they ignited is now ours to carry. If we follow that light, we begin the process of individuation, the journey of becoming whole, not through another, but through deep self-realization. This is not just philosophy. It's something many live through. Like the woman who met a man abroad, felt a love so raw, it awakened her artistry, her voice, her purpose, only to return home without him. But something in her was forever changed. She didn't need him to stay. His presence had already done what it came to do: unlock her soul. So when the universe sends you someone you can't be with, it's not a mistake. It's a sacred invitation to go deeper. You are not being denied love. You are being shown where to find it within. That's the real gift. That's the reason they came. If this message spoke to your soul, leave a like, subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss more insights like this. Remember, the people who shake your heart are meant to awaken your highest self. Type in the comments, "I am ready to grow into my fullest potential." 3. This connection is a spiritual projection of your own unlived self. When you meet someone you can't be with, yet feel a soul-deep connection, it's not just about that person. It's about what they awaken within you. Carl Jung's concept of projection reveals that the powerful emotions you feel toward them are often reflections of parts of yourself you haven't fully lived out. You're not simply falling for them. You're recognizing your own spiritual potential shining back at you through their presence. The universe uses this connection like a mirror, showing you the version of yourself that is waiting to be realized. That longing, that ache, is the voice of your soul calling you home. This is not a mistake or misalignment. It's a divine disruption, a sacred encounter designed to initiate your spiritual awakening. What seems like an impossible love is really a revelation of your unlived life. The person becomes a symbol of your creativity, your confidence, your hidden strength, your deepest desires. You're not chasing them. You're chasing the wholeness that they reflect. That's why walking away feels so unbearable. It's like turning from the future version of yourself that your spirit already knows you can become. In this type of connection, pain is not punishment, it's transformation. The universe did not send them so you could possess them. It sent them so you could become you. Their presence sparks awareness. Their absence forces growth. You are meant to expand, not cling. The heartbreak is not a dead end, it's a doorway. It's the crack where your old identity begins to fall apart and your higher self begins to emerge. As Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. This moment is your chance to reclaim authorship over your life by confronting what this person truly represents. The relationship you can't have often teaches you more than the ones you do. It confronts you with all that's unexpressed inside you. It invites you to feel deeper, to see clearer, to live more fully. It stirs your spirit, not to break you, but to awaken you. And that awakening doesn't end when they leave, it begins. You become the love you were trying to receive. You embody the light you once saw in their eyes. And you realize the real journey was never toward them, it was always toward yourself. This is spiritual wisdom in action. The universe is not cruel. It's precise. It sends the people who will shatter your illusions and stir your soul, not to destroy you, but to rebuild you in truth. In losing them, you find you. In letting go, you rise. Do you feel this truth in your soul? If you do, declare it in the comments. I see my highest self in this reflection. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more deep spiritual wisdom like this. 4. They awaken your inner longing for wholeness and authenticity. You may think you love them, but what you're really experiencing is your soul's deep cry for authenticity, aliveness, and inner wholeness. The ache they awaken in you isn't about them. It's about what they represent within you. According to Carl Jung, what we often call love at first sight or destiny is frequently a powerful projection of our unconscious longing onto another person. These people aren't just romantic interests. They are symbolic messengers. They trigger the dormant parts of our psyche and stir what we have yet to meet within ourselves. They reflect the pieces of our soul that are waiting to be embraced: our creativity, emotional depth, courage, or forgotten dreams. The universe doesn't send these people to complete us, but to disrupt us in a sacred way. That disruption is a divine invitation to wake up. The intensity you feel isn't punishment. It's a mirror, showing you what's missing inside. When you ache for someone who is unavailable, you're really aching to reclaim a part of yourself. Carl Jung's theory of individuation teaches that we must integrate all aspects of ourselves, both light and shadow, in order to become whole. And often, it takes a soul-stirring connection to ignite that transformation. Maybe you've experienced this, meeting someone who lights up your entire being, yet for some reason, you can't be together. They might live in another country, belong to someone else, or carry emotional walls too high to climb. And yet, you feel bonded to them in a way that defies logic. That pull, that longing, that inability to let go, it's not simply romantic fantasy. It's a spiritual awakening. It's the self calling you to go inward, not chase outward. As Jung would say, what you resist persists. And what you chase outside yourself, you're often trying to retrieve from within. In today's world, many people are trapped in this emotional paradox, loving someone they cannot have, believing the story ends in heartbreak. But in truth, it begins there. Because that heartbreak cracks you open. It forces you to confront illusions and break patterns. It teaches you to see clearly where you've been blind, especially to your own needs, wounds, and forgotten power. The person you can't be with becomes the catalyst for the person you're meant to become. That's why Jungian psychology is so powerful. It doesn't just ask who you love. It asks what within you is being called forth by that love. When someone awakens a longing that burns but doesn't resolve, don't dismiss it. Feel it. Follow it not toward them, but toward yourself. That longing is a spiritual signal. It means you're ready to evolve. So no, the universe isn't cruel. It's precise. It sends these people into your path not to stay, but to awaken, to shift you from sleep to consciousness, from projection to presence, from fantasy to freedom. Through them, you begin the sacred work of meeting yourself. And that, Carl Jung would say, is the most profound relationship you will ever have. Are you ready to answer the call of your soul? If this message resonates with you, type "I choose authenticity" in the comments to begin your journey toward inner wholeness. 5. Their role is to catalyze your individuation, soul growth. Jung believed that the people we cannot be with are not random accidents of fate, but carefully orchestrated encounters meant to awaken something dormant within us. When someone enters your life and ignites a fire so intense that it feels like your soul remembers them, yet you're unable to be with them, it's not about love in the traditional sense. It's a call to awaken. These people are not here to complete you, but to confront you with yourself. Their presence stirs deep emotions and forgotten dreams, not to fulfill them, but to show you what lies buried in the layers of your unconscious. The universe uses them as mirrors, reflecting your hidden fears, your unhealed wounds, your deepest longings. Through this mirror, you begin the process of individuation. For Jung, individuation is the sacred path of becoming whole, of integrating all aspects of the self, both light and shadow. And often, it begins with heartbreak. When someone you can't have awakens your inner world, they are not the destination. They are the doorway. You may obsess over why it can't work, but the real question is, what are they showing you about yourself? This is where true spiritual wisdom begins, not in getting the person, but in understanding the message. It might be your fear of being abandoned, your childhood longing to be chosen, or your unresolved need for validation. It might be a reflection of the parts of you you've disowned: the creative spirit, the wild heart, the intuitive soul. You project these qualities onto them because your unconscious is trying to make you see that they were always yours to reclaim. Jung called this projection, and it is not a flaw, it is a portal. The one you cannot be with holds up a mirror, asking you to see yourself, not as fragmented or broken, but as someone waiting to remember their own light. These painful connections are initiations. They push you into the fire of transformation, burning away illusions so that only truth remains. And that truth is this: no one outside of you holds the key to your wholeness. The person you long for is simply the spark. The real flame is within you. Once you shift your gaze inward, you begin to evolve. You no longer chase the person, you listen to the lesson. You no longer grieve what wasn't, you honor what it awakened. That is where healing begins. That is where power returns. Spiritual wisdom reminds us that not all love stories are meant to unfold in the world. Some are written solely for your inner world to teach you, to break you open, to remind you of who you are beneath the yearning. And while the loss may ache, the soul gains clarity. You begin to trust the universe not for what it gives, but for what it reveals. You start to see that these impossible connections are sacred contracts. Their purpose is not possession, but transformation. They enter your life not to stay, but to change its course forever. Don't forget to subscribe for more spiritual wisdom on how powerful connections can awaken your soul and guide you toward true individuation. 6. The real relationship is with your own becoming. You don't need to possess this person. The real purpose of their presence in your life is not to fulfill a romantic fantasy, but to awaken a deeper truth within you. The traits that drew you to them, their depth, passion, confidence, or gentle presence are not qualities you lack, but reflections of your own soul, calling you to evolve. The universe placed them on your path, not so you could hold on to them, but so you could recognize parts of yourself you have yet to fully embrace. When you long for someone you can't be with, it's not just about them, it's about you. It's about your growth, your becoming. Carl Jung reminds us that every experience, especially the ones that stir our deepest emotions, comes from the unconscious trying to make itself known. The pain of separation isn't there to punish you. It's a sacred wound that opens the doorway to your own spiritual awakening. The connection may feel like destiny, and in many ways, it is. But destiny doesn't always mean possession. Sometimes, destiny is about transformation. Think about this. You were drawn to that person because your soul recognized something familiar, something beautiful. And while it may seem like they completed you, the truth is they awakened what's been asleep within you. What you admire in them is a reflection of your own essence, still waiting to be expressed. They were never meant to stay. They were meant to activate your next level, to shake your spirit awake and remind you of what you're here to become. Every soul encounter has meaning, but not every soul is meant to stay. Jung taught that relationships are mirrors, revealing the unintegrated parts of ourselves. That's why some people enter our lives like fire, igniting emotions we didn't even know we had. It's not about romance in the traditional sense. It's about soul work. Their presence is a lesson. Their absence is the test. Instead of mourning the absence, rise into the presence of who you are becoming. Let the ache carve space for wisdom. Let the longing lead you home to yourself. The real relationship, the one the universe wanted you to see, is not between you and them. It's between you and your own evolution. You are being called to embody the same light you saw in them, to stop seeking outside what you were always meant to awaken within. This is the heart of spiritual awakening. It's a path where pain becomes purpose and longing becomes the catalyst for self-realization. You don't need to chase love to be worthy. You just need to recognize that love showed up to awaken you, not to complete you. And when you finally become everything you once sought in another, you'll understand the divine design. You weren't meant to have them. You were meant to remember yourself. If this message touched something deep within you, comment below. I embrace the journey of becoming my highest self. And if you're ready to keep growing with us, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more soul-expanding insights. 7. Your task now is to live the awakening they triggered. They were never meant to stay forever. They were meant to awaken you. The love you felt, the pain you carry, the questions you still replay in your mind, all of it was part of a deeper initiation. Their role in your life was never about the relationship lasting. It was about what it awakened within you. They were the mirror that reflected your capacity for depth, devotion, vulnerability, and truth. That's why it hurt so much, because it was real. But now, their job is done, and the question is no longer why they left, but what you will do with what they left behind. Carl Jung believed that our relationships are symbolic. We don't just meet people. We meet reflections of ourselves, projections of our inner world, messengers of the unconscious. When someone awakens us but cannot stay, it's not a punishment. It's the soul's way of pulling you into alignment. Jung wrote, "We meet ourselves time and again in 1,000 disguises on the path of life." That person you couldn't be with was a disguise of your own destiny calling. They awakened you to a version of yourself that was buried beneath old wounds, outdated beliefs, or unworthy patterns. They showed you who you were always meant to become. Maybe you've noticed it already, how your thoughts have changed, how you no longer tolerate what you once accepted, how your dreams have become louder and your soul more restless. That's the sign of a spiritual awakening. The universe didn't just send you love, it sent you a transformation. And now, it's your responsibility to honor that transformation. Don't cling to what could have been. Instead, focus on what was revealed through them. Your own power, your own clarity, your own emotional depth. Think of a woman who met someone during a time when she was lost. Their love awakened her to beauty, to art, to truth. But it didn't last. He moved on. But she didn't collapse. She painted again. She wrote again. She healed. And in doing so, she became who she truly was because of him, not for him. That's what the universe wants from you. To use the love that broke you open to step into the life you were born to live. This is not the end. It's the threshold. You weren't meant to get everything you wanted from them. You were meant to become everything you were afraid to be. Their job was never to complete your story. Their job was to ignite it. Now, it's your turn to write the rest. To affirm your dedication to the path of awakening, declare it with intention. Comment below. I honor my transformation, to acknowledge your growth and inspire others to rise into their highest selves. Sometimes, the ones we can't be with are the very ones who awaken our deepest truths, not to complete us, but to reveal us to ourselves. The universe isn't punishing you, it's preparing you. If this message has resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom. And be sure to turn on notifications so you never miss our upcoming insights into the soul's journey. Thank you for watching, and remember, every connection has a higher purpose. 9 keys to make them see you as a luxury and not as an option. When you know your worth, no one can make you feel worthless. This powerful truth lies at the heart of today's message. Welcome to Spiritual Wisdom, where we dive deep into timeless insights to help you rise into your highest self. In this video, we explore 9 essential keys inspired by Carl Jung's teachings that will help you shift how others perceive you from being an option to becoming a luxury. These aren't just tips, they're transformational principles that, when applied, will elevate your energy, self-image, and influence. So ask yourself, are you ready to stop chasing validation and start embodying value? If any part of this speaks to your soul, leave a comment below sharing your thoughts. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more spiritual guidance. 1. Know your intrinsic value. When you stop chasing validation, something inside you begins to settle quietly, powerfully. Carl Jung taught that your wholeness doesn't come from outside approval, but from the integration of your inner truth. That's the difference between someone who demands attention and someone who radiates presence. True worth does not need to be explained, proven, or advertised. It simply exists. And when you recognize that your value is intrinsic, not transactional, you no longer feel the need to prove yourself to anyone. You start moving differently. Your energy speaks before your words do. You stop showing up as a product, waiting on a shelf for someone to pick you. You stop negotiating your essence for temporary validation. Just like luxury never goes on sale, neither should your soul. The rarest diamonds are found deep underground and valued not because they scream, but because they are. And so are you. In a world obsessed with attention, there's something magnetic about someone who doesn't need it. You become the one who leaves a lasting impact, not by chasing, but by standing still in full self-awareness. You don't become irresistible by being available to everyone. You become unforgettable by being unavailable to what diminishes your spirit. That's the power of embodied self-worth. It teaches others how to treat you without you having to say a word. A woman once spent years trying to be good enough for someone who only saw her as convenient. She gave more, shrank smaller, tolerated longer, until one day she remembered who she was. The moment she chose herself, everything changed. He came back, but it was too late. She had become a version of herself that no longer needed him to see her value because she saw it first. That is when people begin to treat you like a luxury, when you no longer treat yourself like an option. Carl Jung's concept of individuation reminds us that becoming whole requires reclaiming every part of ourselves: the dark, the light, the wild, the soft. You stop molding yourself to fit expectations. You stop hiding your truth to make others comfortable. The moment you own your contradictions is the moment you become magnetic. You become untouchable, not because you're cold, but because you're whole. Wholeness is not perfection. It's integration. It's knowing that you're not here to be edited or explained. You're here to be you. And in that knowing, you draw in people who meet you at your frequency, not because you chase, but because you attract. You set standards, not walls, but gates, through which only the aligned may pass. And you do it all with grace, not force. Because luxury is never loud, it's felt. And those who cannot recognize your gold while it's still unrefined will never deserve to hold you once you shine. Have you ever taken a moment to truly honor your worth without needing anyone else to validate it? If you've already started embracing your intrinsic value, share how it's changed your life in the comments so others can be inspired. If not, comment, "I will honor my worth," to begin this empowering journey today. Let's walk in confidence together. 2. Set unshakable standards. Stop offering yourself at a discount. You are not something to be marked down just to be accepted. Every time you lower your standards for approval or connection, you trade your inner worth for temporary comfort. And that comfort often comes with a heavy cost: self-betrayal. People don't respect what is overly available or easily convinced. They respect what is rare, intentional, and self-assured. When you set the bar low, you invite in those who only aim to meet the minimum. But when your standards are unshakable, you don't just protect your energy, you elevate it. People learn how to treat you by watching what you tolerate. This is not about being harsh or closed off. It's about teaching the world the level at which you expect to be met. When someone speaks over you, cancels on you, or ignores your needs, and you say nothing, you silently permit the behavior to repeat. But when you calmly, consistently enforce boundaries, you reclaim your power. This isn't ego, it's spiritual wisdom. It's the deep inner knowing that your energy is sacred and not up for negotiation. Your silence or acceptance is either a permission slip or a standard. Choose which one you offer. Luxury doesn't scream. It doesn't beg. It doesn't explain itself. It simply exists, and its presence speaks louder than words. You must become like that. Stop over-explaining who you are to those committed to misunderstanding you. Let your peace, your consistency, and your standards do the talking. You don't owe access to people who haven't earned the right to walk beside you. Think of luxury brands. They're not placed on bargain racks. Their value is defined not just by what they offer, but by what they refuse to compromise on. Be that energy. Be that frequency. Silent, refined, untouchable. When your standards are high, you don't chase, you filter. You become the gatekeeper of your own peace. Not everyone deserves access to your world. And spiritual wisdom reminds us that energetic boundaries are acts of self-love, not isolation. You're not here to convince others to value you. You're here to remember that your worth was never up for debate in the first place. In Jungian terms, when you honor your wholeness, you stop begging to be seen. You start embodying the truth of who you already are. You don't rise by being louder. You rise by being rooted. The ones who carry themselves with the quiet knowing of their worth move through life differently. They don't rush. They don't explain. They don't apologize for choosing peace over chaos, solitude over shallow company, and standards over desperation. That's what makes you magnetic. Not the performance, not the trying, just the being. And once you align with that truth, you'll realize you were never meant to be an option. You are the rarest thing in the room, the one who doesn't need to be chosen to know they belong. Have you ever lowered your standards just to feel accepted? If so, comment, "No more discounts," to affirm your growth. Let's commit together to setting unshakable standards and teaching the world how we deserve to be treated. 4. Be less accessible. Availability without boundaries is a fast track to being overlooked. When you're always there, answering texts the moment they arrive, saying yes to every favor, constantly giving your emotional presence without pause, you teach others to expect you, not respect you. In the absence of limits, people forget your worth. But when you become less accessible, when you no longer offer yourself freely to every situation or person, something shifts. You become a mystery, a presence that must be earned, not assumed. And that, in the language of energy, is the beginning of becoming a luxury. Carl Jung spoke of individuation, the sacred process of becoming your true self. Part of that journey means protecting your space. It means no longer outsourcing your value to how others treat you, but determining it through how you treat yourself. You are not here to be an emotional vending machine. Your time is not disposable. When you begin to say no without apology, when you respond in your time, not in haste, you send a clear message. I know my worth, and I will not dilute it for convenience. Take the example of Ava. Once the go-to person for everyone's problems, she was exhausted, drained, and invisible. She believed being needed meant being loved. But love built on availability alone is not love, it's dependency. When she finally pulled back, started reserving her energy for those who truly valued her, she noticed a change. The silence of her absence spoke louder than all her previous efforts to be heard. People leaned in, listened harder, and approached her with more care. That's the power of becoming selective. In a world that demands constant response and instant access, restraint is revolutionary. You don't have to be rude or play games. You simply need to honor your energy like it's precious because it is. And when you do, you will notice who still shows up, who still calls, who makes an effort. Rarity creates magnetism. Just like a designer piece on a limited run, your presence becomes unforgettable when it's no longer predictable. Spiritual wisdom teaches that what is sacred must be guarded. Not everything deserves your immediate reaction. Not everyone is entitled to your softness. You begin to transform the moment you realize that your value doesn't come from how often you're available, but from how intentionally you choose to show up. By being less accessible, you make space for depth. You make space for quality connections over quantity interactions. And in doing so, you no longer live to be chosen, you choose. If you're ready to protect your energy and become a rare presence that commands respect, comment below. I am no longer easily accessible. And if this message resonates with you, like the video, share it with someone who needs this reminder, and subscribe for more powerful insights. 5. Let silence speak for you. You don't need to explain your worth. In fact, the more you explain, the more you dilute the energy of your presence. Real value is never loud. It is still, it is composed, and it is deeply rooted. The person who radiates calm confidence, who walks into a room without needing to perform, becomes the one who commands attention without even trying. You've likely seen this before, a person who says very little, but somehow everyone leans in. That's not charisma. That's power built on spiritual wisdom and self-possession. Silence, when it comes from inner strength, is more impactful than words. It reflects self-trust. When you stop over-explaining, you stop seeking permission to exist. You allow your energy to speak first, and energy never lies. The need to overtalk, overjustify, or overshare often stems from old wounds, times when you weren't heard, believed, or valued. But luxury doesn't beg to be understood. It simply is. And when you realize this, you shift from being an option to being a standard. Because the one who doesn't chase is the one who is chased. Stillness is a signal of sovereignty. When you are anchored within yourself, you don't need to prove anything. You become magnetic simply by being. The people who are meant for you will recognize your depth and your silence. They'll sense the strength in your restraint, the grace in your pause. This is not passivity, it's energetic clarity. You're no longer available for chaos, for performance, for proving. You've risen into spiritual maturity where your silence speaks louder than noise, where your presence carries more weight than your explanation ever could. People will try to provoke you, pressure you, pull you into explanations. But spiritual wisdom teaches restraint. It teaches discernment. You do not need to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't need to open every emotional invoice that lands in your lap. Not everyone is worthy of access to your truth, and not everyone is equipped to understand your depth. Let them wonder. Let them question. Your silence will either invite reflection or expose their superficiality. Let silence filter your space. Those who recognize your frequency without needing you to speak are aligned with your soul. Those who demand proof are looking for control. There is a sacredness in not needing to correct every misunderstanding. There is power in letting your absence speak volumes where your words would have been wasted. And the more you align with this inner stillness, the more luxurious your energy becomes. This isn't about becoming cold or distant. It's about becoming untouchable in your truth. When your worth is no longer up for debate, your life begins to change. You attract differently. You walk differently. You speak less, but are heard more. That is the power of silent self-respect. That is the power of choosing to be a luxury, not a loud performance, not a convenient option, but a quiet, undeniable presence that reshapes every space you enter. If this message speaks to your soul, repeat after me. My silence is powerful. My energy speaks for me. I trust my presence to say what words cannot. Let stillness guide you. And if you're ready to embody calm confidence, like this video and share it with someone who needs this reminder today. 6. Align, don't perform. Stop performing for love. Stop bending, shrinking, and shaping yourself into someone you're not, just to be accepted by people who haven't even earned access to your truth. Every time you silence your voice to be liked, you abandon a piece of your soul. Every time you seek approval more than alignment, you become a performer on a stage built by insecurity. But you are not a performer. You are not a product. You are a soul in evolution, and spiritual awakening demands that you drop the mask. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, not who they want you to be, not who gets the most applause, who you are raw, imperfect, magnetic in your truth." Alignment is not glamorous, but it is powerful. It's the quiet power of someone who knows they don't have to prove anything. When you start living from that place, you become untouchable, because your worth no longer depends on anyone's recognition of it. There is a huge difference between being liked and being respected, between being convenient and being valuable. People-pleasing makes you accessible, but alignment makes you rare. And what is rare is often misunderstood at first. That's okay. You're not here to be understood by everyone. You're here to be authentic to yourself. You don't owe the world a softer, smaller version of your truth just because it makes others feel more comfortable. Luxury never chases. It doesn't beg to be noticed. It doesn't lower its price because someone can't afford it. And you, in your highest form, are that kind of luxury. The kind of presence that makes people pause. The kind of energy that doesn't enter the room trying to prove itself. It simply is. To get there, you must stop molding yourself into what the world wants and start embodying what your spirit is here to express. That is spiritual wisdom. That is power. Let others misunderstand you. Let them question your silence, your boundaries, your standards. Let them call it arrogance, distance, or aloofness. It is none of those things. It is alignment. And when you align, you stop reacting. You stop over-explaining. You stop needing to convince anyone of your worth. You just live, breathe, move, and exist from a place of deep-rooted truth. That is what makes you unforgettable. The more aligned you become, the less you tolerate the noise, the performance, the pressure, the fake smiles, the shallow praise. You begin to crave depth, peace, stillness, and truth. You walk away quicker. You protect your energy faster. You honor your journey without guilt. And that is when you stop being an option and become a standard. Stay rooted in your truth by subscribing to our channel. Here, we don't chase approval. We walk in authenticity. Join our community where your worth isn't measured by performance, but by presence. Remember, you don't need to be liked to rise. You just need to be aligned. 7. Cultivate inner substance. Decorating the outside without healing the inside makes you fragile. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." That single quote holds the secret to true presence. Because no matter how beautiful you look on the surface, if your soul is wounded, your spirit will tremble in silence and others will sense it. A luxury is not defined by what it wears, but by what it carries within. A truly magnetic presence begins with depth, not decoration. Inner substance cannot be faked, it is felt. And people instinctively know the difference between someone who is whole and someone who is pretending to be. Surface beauty may catch attention, but only inner strength holds it. True elegance has nothing to prove. It is rooted in healed wounds, stable energy, and self-respect. If you've never done the inner work, if you've never sat with your pain, listened to your inner child, faced your fears without distractions, then everything you build outside will feel like glass, shiny but easily shattered. You cannot be a sanctuary for others if you are not a safe space within yourself. Spiritual wisdom teaches us that healing is not an aesthetic. It is a quiet revolution inside the soul. You may not post it online, but people will feel it when they're in your presence. Carl Jung spoke of the shadow, the hidden parts of ourselves we suppress or deny. Until we confront these shadows, they quietly control our lives. When you deny your pain, you become reactive. When you avoid your past, you repeat it. But when you finally turn inward and do the hard work, journaling, therapy, breath work, prayer, solitude, you begin to build an unshakable core. That is what makes someone a luxury. Not their smile, but the battles they've won in silence. Not their perfume, but the peace they carry in their chest. There's a woman I know who used to feel invisible. She dressed to impress, kept up with trends, spoke softly to please, yet felt hollow inside. The moment she began her spiritual awakening, cutting ties with people who drained her, embracing silence, and forgiving her past, everything shifted. She no longer begged to be chosen. She became the chooser, and the world noticed. Not because she changed her appearance, but because she changed her energy. This is your reminder. You are not an ornament. You are a force. The more you nourish your soul, the less you need validation. The more you pour love into your own wounds, the less you seek rescuers. And the more whole you become, the more others begin to see you as rare, not because you're loud, but because your stillness speaks volumes. That is inner substance. That is luxury. That is the power Carl Jung knew was born from within. 8. Protect your energy. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. Your presence is sacred, your peace is rare, and your clarity is powerful. The moment you begin to honor that truth, you start to disrupt the dynamic that others once relied on. People who benefited from your silence, your confusion, your constant availability, they will feel offended when you start drawing boundaries. But that offense isn't your responsibility to fix. It's simply the byproduct of your spiritual awakening. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your growth. When you choose inner peace over pleasing others, when you choose solitude over chaos, when you stop overgiving to prove your worth, you are shifting into your true power. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Becoming that person requires discipline. It requires that you stop giving your sacred energy to people who see you as common. Because what is sacred cannot be shared carelessly. Luxury doesn't chase. It doesn't shout. It doesn't explain itself. It holds its ground and lets the worthy come forward. The same principle applies to your presence. If someone cannot meet you with the same respect, presence, and emotional maturity that you offer, they don't deserve the seat at your table. You are not meant to be a constant in the lives of people who only show up when it's convenient for them. You are not an option. They just don't recognize the rarity standing in front of them. This is not arrogance. It is spiritual wisdom. When you begin to protect your energy, you stop performing for love. You stop negotiating with people who only understand your value when you're gone. You stop making room for those who drain you. And in that sacred act of self-respect, you become magnetic. You become someone whose time, presence, and heart are felt as a privilege, not a right. Your boundaries are not walls, they are gates. And you decide who earns the right to enter. Just like a luxury store doesn't open for everyone, your spirit doesn't have to be available to those who are not emotionally equipped to value it. Walk away from conversations that leave you doubting yourself. Step back from dynamics where you constantly feel unseen. Your peace is your compass. Follow it. The truth is, the more deeply you value your own energy, the less you feel the need to prove anything. You no longer beg for closure. You no longer over-explain. You no longer accept crumbs and call it love. Because you've come home to yourself. You've remembered what it feels like to be full without approval. And that is the ultimate shift from being consumed to being revered. From being picked to being chosen with intention. When you protect your energy, you stop being an option and start being a standard. That's what true transformation looks like. And it all begins with this unshakable decision. Protect what's sacred or watch it be wasted. Have you ever let someone drain your energy only to regret not setting boundaries sooner? If yes, comment, "I've learned to show you're growing." If not, comment, "I protect my peace to affirm your strength." Let's walk this path of emotional clarity and self-respect together. 9. Choose yourself always. Stop waiting to be chosen. The moment you place your worth in someone else's hands, you've already handed them the power to overlook you. You are not here to audition for love, approval, or validation. You are here to embody the truth that your existence is already enough. When you begin choosing yourself, not out of pride, but out of spiritual wisdom, you step into the energy of someone who knows their value is not up for negotiation. This is the silent power that turns heads without trying. It is the essence of spiritual awakening, remembering who you are before the world convinced you to doubt it. Walk like your worth is a fact, not a question. Speak with the energy of someone who has nothing to prove but everything to protect. Your self-respect sets the tone before you even open your mouth. It says, "I'm not here to be an option. I am the standard." That shift is not about arrogance. It's about alignment. You stop shrinking to fit into places you've outgrown and start expanding into the life that was always meant for you. People sense when you respect yourself. They feel it. You don't have to announce it or force it. The energy speaks for you. When you honor your needs, protect your peace, and walk away from what drains your spirit, you become a mirror that reflects back what others refuse to face in themselves. That's why choosing yourself is not just a mindset, it's a frequency. And when you hold that frequency, the wrong ones will fall away, and the right ones will rise to meet you. A luxury item doesn't chase buyers. It simply exists in its worth. The same goes for you. You are not on sale. You are not for everyone. And that's the point. You were never meant to be universally understood or accepted. You were meant to be authentic, radiant, whole. When you stop discounting yourself for the sake of belonging, you begin to attract the people, spaces, and opportunities that recognize your value without needing an explanation. Choosing yourself means not settling for crumbs when your soul knows it was designed for a feast. It means protecting your boundaries even when it disappoints others. It means being okay with not being liked as long as you are being true. Because at the end of the day, no one else is responsible for your fulfillment but you. And no one else has the right to define your worth unless you let them. The more you honor your own energy, the more the universe conspires to honor it too. This is not wishful thinking. It's energetic law. What you embody is what you attract. So embody reverence, embody clarity, embody that quiet knowing that says, "I choose me." And by doing so, I teach the world to do the same. If this message reminded you to choose yourself first, drop a comment below. I honor my worth. I choose myself boldly and without apology. And if this speaks to your journey, like this video and subscribe for more messages that awaken your inner power. And remember this, true luxury doesn't beg to be seen. It simply is. When you embrace your worth, you stop chasing and start attracting. These 9 keys aren't just tips. They are invitations to live with clarity, intention, and deep self-respect. Let your energy speak louder than your words, and the right people will recognize your value without needing an explanation. If this message has resonated with you, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom for more soul-stirring insights. Tap the notification bell so you won't miss the next step on your journey to personal power and spiritual growth. Stay radiant. Stay rare. You are luxury.